I have been checking out a few different um, live streams and different YouTube channels, and I talked about this a few videos back. And y'all gotta excuse my desk; it is a mess, as you can see. I did not put up um, my art materials from last night, but just wanted to ensure that I came on here today to share this with you all. Um, So going back to what I mentioned about the YouTube streams, so I saw a comment in one of the comments that said, thank you for sharing your process, and also talking more about, why you chose the next steps that you chose. So I thought that that was interesting, and it has been sitting with me. How do you build creative decision making? Because that's really what that comment was about. They were acknowledging, that there is kind of two parts to the creative process. It's not just seeing like how you made your strokes, it's also why you chose the next step after you make your paint strokes, brush strokes, pen strokes, marks, right? Whatever it is. It's not just that, it's also, again, like what comes next. And so I have been like thinking about that quite a bit. And this is part two to this mindset of how do you build creative decision making? Like, how do you determine what you want to do next? In my previous video, I gave the example of, you pick your colors, you sit down, you know what your image is, you have a reference photo or you have some thumbnail sketches, and then you work off of that, right? But when you actually sit down to do the piece, you put your layers on. Because I'm a mixed media artist, layers are very important, like water based versus dry media, right? Wet versus dry, and then how you layer those things. And so for myself, like I said, I knew that, okay, there's another part to this besides the layers. It's also like what comes next. So, one of the ways that I have been exploring this is um, through this one exercise. And I started this exercise with this particular piece I'm going to show you all. And I also talked about this in a previous video as well. This is more of a folk art piece that I have been working on. And in my previous video, I shared like that I wanted to do a marble salamander that went right here. So I practiced drawing a salamander because I've never drawn that before. So this is what the salamander um, attempt looked like. So it came out pretty cool. This is like the first kind of more realistic thing that I've drawn, and these are Venus flytraps around it. But the point of this video is about how building creative decision making, right? And so I'm going to use this salamander as an example of how I build one way that I build creative decision making. So this particular one was done with just watercolor. I sketched it really quickly first with this looks like a wine red Holbein pencil underneath, and then I use different Kuretake colors, watercolors to actually make the salamander. Okay, so this is the first one that I did. Um, and I hate this. I hadn't pulled I forgot that I had some in here too. Um, Hold on, y'all. Bear with me. Oh, okay, right. Okay. So I've done salamanders different ways multiple times, and that is the exercise to help build creative decision making. So I kind of have like a little test examples, if you will, of different ways that I have colored salamanders, different materials that I've used. And this is the way that I am building creative decision making. So like when I sit down to, I'm gonna probably redo this completely. But when I sit down to actually finish this piece, what I'm going to do is open up all of my examples that I've created on salamanders, and that will help me to plan um, what I want this final salamander to look like, right? So I have these examples. I can also show you, see, I did some more back here. Okay. These were a lot of fun, right? And so when we're talking about building creative decision making, many of the artists that are like here on YouTube have, years of experience with creating certain pieces. And, it's kind of like a muscle memory, right? So we're building muscle memory. When you pick a subject and you do it multiple times, you create it multiple times using different colors, using different mediums, you're building muscle memory not only on how to actually draw or sketch that particular image, but also muscle memory around like you know, um, what colors resonate more for you, right? What strokes resonate for you. So I can give you an example. So like on this salamander, I've predominantly only done like pencil strokes in one direction. But on these other ones, I've drawn circles, right? This one has more of like a oval shapes. This one down here, I have the oval shapes, but then also with more squiggly lines as opposed to like shaded lines, right? So I have these different examples of um, how I how I may want to actually create that particular salamander. And so these are the practices that help to build that muscle memory. And I mentioned this in part one of the video. It feels like that one of the things that I am working through when I stick with one particular image or piece and continue to work on it, I am kind of deconstructing what I was taught, what I'm assuming many of us were taught related to what is good, what's successful. You sit down, you do it one time, and then boom, you got it. That's it, and you're good. And that's not how it works for me. I don't look at success in that way. I like to um create different subjects, multiple different ways to see what I like, and that takes patience, that takes time, that also takes compassion for yourself, right? Because some of these are ugly. Some of these are ugly as hell, right? And that's okay. Right? Like this one isn't drawn that great, but I really like these colors, right? And that's where the compassion comes in. All of them are not, it's not gonna always look great, right? Like this one is a little wonky, the head is a little crooked, but that's all right, right? And this is the part of the creative muscle memory that I'm building. So again, as an example, like I said, some of these are ugly, right? Like it didn't come out that great, but there's information here. I really love the way these colors look together though. So when I sit down to actually redraw my salamander, um I may redo it and do it with these colors in particular, and then just work on the shape of the iguana the next time, right? So this is that piece again with building creative decision making too. It is practicing these different ways of looking at your subject, kind of knocking off the different layers that you want to put into the piece and getting more confident with it. So what do I mean by that? What I'm saying is that like when I sit down to do this salamander again, for instance, I don't have to think about color, right? Not only do I have different examples of colors, I also know that like I like, for instance, these colors. So the next time that I sit down to sketch a salamander, I'm going to start with these colors. And then because I know that I like these colors, I just have to work on the shape of the iguana the next time. It's not that I have to work on the colors and the shape of the iguana or the salamander. I hope that I'm making sense with that. Another example that I can give really quickly is that, the feet, for instance. I really like how I drew, let's see if I can show y'all. I really like how I sketched the feet on this one. I like the contrast of the colors, how it's a lighter orange and then more of a reddy orange towards the feet. I don't like the feet on this one, right? So when I sit down to do the iguana, the salamander again, I know the colors. I know how I like the feet to look, for instance. And so I'm going to use that the next time that I sit down to do my salamander, um, for it to look a particular way. Let me see. And then this one, right? Like I absolutely loved how this one came out. I was very surprised by it. I didn't even finish it. I didn't put the eyes in it. I didn't do any additional shading. I had never This is my first time drawing anything this realistic. And so yeah, this is another piece of that muscle memory too, you know. Um Knowing like when you want to stop, when you don't want to. I wouldn't say that I will overwork it if I put something like some shading and then do the eyes and everything. It's just at this stage this has so much information for me. I just want to keep it the way that it is so that I can come back to it and reference this, right? So don't be afraid to create the same image multiple times and with different materials. Don't be afraid to, don't get down on yourself, right? If you make one of the multiples and some of them don't come out, looking all that great. Like it's okay. It's all information for you. I know y'all have seen like these videos going around talking about making ugly art. And yeah, like that's a way to definitely think about it. But also, it's okay to have trial and errors related to your art piece. Like I said, I am not someone that believes that you just, and some people are like this, you can just walk up to a blank canvas and just boom, create a masterpiece. That's not my process. That is not my process. Okay, sometimes it happens like that, but more often than not I'm doing exercises like this first where I am drawing different aspects of the composition multiple times, using different materials, seeing which way that I like the colors, which way that I like the marks, changing things up, and then recreating a final piece based on all of that. I'll have sticky notes with notes on there, reminding me of the things that I like, right? So then when I come back to it, I'm not starting from scratch. I get my initial reflections down about, yeah, things that I want to carry over into the final recreated piece. And again, this is deconstructing our mindset about what success is, how your art practice is supposed to go, you know, and also compassion for yourself, related to how you create. Again, some of the things are not going to look amazing, all of the time. And that's okay. So this is the exercise that I wanted to share with you all that I personally use, to help build creative decision making, to help build that creative muscle memory, because we're talking about confidence, right? And the only way to build confidence is for you to do it over and over and over again, right? Get good at it. And in my perspective, the way that I'm learning to be more confident in my art practice is through an exercise like this. Um, I can, in my next video that I talk about, part 3 on building creative decision making, I also have another subject that I've been working on, and that's elephants. And if you check out my videos, my live, just roster of videos that I have up, the ones that have the elephant thumbnails on them, that's the project that I'm talking about. And that's another example of me creating elephants over and over again, using different materials, seeing how I like it, seeing how I like to create those elephants. um let's see, I do have one example of that I did yesterday, and I can show y'all just as an example. Um, oh, is it not in this one? It's gotta be. Just give me 1 second, y'all. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah. So, like, here's one elephant that I did yesterday. Again, just a quick sketch. There are things about this that I like. There are things that I don't like about it. The elephant's head is too big. It looks like he's inhaling some of the grass and the trees, and that's not accurate. But there are things that I do like about this one. I love the shading. I love the shadow. We got to work on that big ass head, but other than that, we'll see how it goes. But I have quite a few examples of doing different subjects multiple ways. And again, that's to build creative decision making. When I actually sit down to rework this piece, I'll have multiple examples in front of me, and then I will be able to pick which one or the different elements from all of these examples and then put them into the final piece. So I'll have a longer video specifically related to these elephants. But for today, we were talking about my salamanders. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about this. And I will see you on the next video.